I'm Adam.
And I'm Duke.
And this is Where There's a Williams, There's a Way. Hey Duke, have you ever been to Antarctica?
Nah, but I reckon I'd lose my hat faster than a jackrabbit in a snowstorm over there.
Your hat? You mean that old cowboy hat of yours?
Yup, that ornery thing's got a knack of wandering off. Antarctica'd probably give it a run for its money, though.
I imagine your hat trying to blend in with those penguins, thinking it found a new posse.
Shoot, it'd probably try to start its own rodeo with those critters. Penguins bucking around with my hat on their heads.
In today's book, Tacky's the odd bird out among all his friends. Will this nonconformist teach old penguins some new tricks and help save the day? Let's get started. Tacky the Penguin by Helen Lester, illustrated by Lynn Munsinger. There once lived a penguin. His home was a nice icy land he shared with his companions. His companions were named Goodly, Lovely, Angel, Neatly, and Perfect. His name was Tacky. Tacky was an odd bird. Every day, Goodly, Lovely, Angel, Neatly, and Perfect greeted each other quietly and politely. Tacky greeted them with a hearty slap on the back and a loud,
"What's happening?"
Goodly, Lovely, Angel, Neatly, and Perfect always marched 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Tacky always marched 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 6, 0, 2.5, 0. His companions were graceful divers. Tacky liked to splash with cannonballs. Duke, what would you even do in Antarctica?
Well, probably try to find my hat and maybe teach them penguins a trick or two about steer roping.
Teaching penguins lasso skills? That's a talent show I'd pay to see.
Reckon it'd be the talk of the South Pole for years to come. But truth be told, I'd probably just enjoy the sights, the quiet, and maybe convince my hat to stay put for once.
Antarctica, the ultimate hat-hiding challenge. Maybe that's where all the lost socks end up, too.
Wouldn't that be something? Lost socks and wandering hats all taking a vacation down south?
Goodly, Lovely, Angel, Neatly, and Perfect always sang pretty songs like Sunrise on the Iceberg. Tacky always sang songs like, How many toes does a fish have? Tacky was an odd bird. One day the penguins heard a thump, thump, thump of feet in the distance. This could mean only one thing. Hunters had come. They came with maps and traps and rocks and locks, and they were rough and tough. As the thump, thump, thump drew closer, the penguins could hear the growly voices chanting,
"We're gonna catch some pretty penguins and we'll march them with a switch. We'll sell them for $1 and we'll get rich, rich, rich."
Goodly, Lovely, Angel, Neatly, and Perfect ran away in fright. They hid behind a block of ice. Tacky stood alone. The hunters marched right up to him, chanting,
"We're gonna catch some pretty penguins and we'll march them with a switch. And we'll sell them for $1 and get rich, rich, rich." "What's happening?"
blared Tacky, giving one hunter an especially hearty slap on the back. They growled,
"We're hunting for penguins, that's what's happening."
Can't help but wonder what penguins are up to all day just sliding around on their bellies. I reckon they're having a grand old time sliding and diving into the icy waters. But imagine if we had penguins in the Wild West.
Well, I reckon they'd be the talk of the town, strutting around in their tuxedos. Folks might mistake them for some fancy city slickers.
Can you imagine wrangling penguins instead of cattle? Gotta admit, seeing them on a cattle drive would be quite the sight.
Penguins and their fishy, studdy snacks. But you gotta admit, they'd add a splash of fancy to these dusty old trails.
That they would. Penguins bringing some Antarctic charm to the Wild West. Makes you wonder what other surprises this world might hold.
Sure does. But for now, let's leave those penguins to their icy adventures and stick to wrangling up our own kind of fun out here. "Penguins?" said Tacky. "Do you mean those birds that march neatly in a row?"
And he marched 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 6, 0. 2.5, 0. The hunters looked puzzled.
Do you mean those birds that dive so gracefully?
Tacky asked. And he did a splashy cannonball. The hunters looked wet.
Do you mean those birds that sing such pretty songs?
Tacky began to sing, and from behind the block of ice came the voices of his companions, all singing as loudly and dreadfully as they could.
How many toes does a fish have? How many wings on a cow? I wonder, yep, I wonder.
The hunters could not stand the horrible singing. This could not be the land of the pretty penguins. They ran away with their hands clasped tightly over their ears, leaving behind their maps and traps and rocks and logs, and not looking at all rough and tough. Goodly, lovely, Angel, neatly and perfect, hugged Tacky. Tacky was an odd bird, but a very nice bird to have around.
It seems like Tacky just pranked those predators. You know, I reckon I pulled off the best prank last week.
A prank, you say? What kind of mischief did you get up to this time?
I'll tell you, partner. I swapped the sugar for salt in old Hank's coffee can. That fella took a sip and nearly spat it out like a bull at a rodeo.
That's a classic one, Duke. Reminds me of when my students tried to prank me with fake bugs in my desk. Had 'em jumping around like they were on a hot skillet.
Kids these days, they sure got some tricks up their sleeves. But I bet old Hank's face was a sight to behold. He must have thought the world turned upside down.
Oh, no doubt, but I hope you gave him a fair warning before he took that sip. We don't want poor Hank thinking he's got a taste for salted coffee from now on.
Don't you worry, Adam. I ain't that ornery. I let him in on the joke right after. It's all in good fun, ain't it?
If you had good fun with this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I'm Adam.
And I'm Duke.
And this is Where There's a Williams, There's a Way. Did you know the emperor penguin grows up to 45 inches tall, standing at nearly 4 feet in height? However, fossil evidence in New Zealand shows that human-sized penguins existed around 30 million years ago.